Hi, I'm Annie Swingen, Director for External Relations at the American Foreign Policy Council in Washington, D.C. Today I'm joined by our President Herman Pirchner Jr., who's going to discuss Russia's repressive regimes and what may come next for the country. Hey Herman, so good to see you.
Annie, thanks so much for having me on. I look forward to our discussion today. Um, Vladimir Putin is a name almost everybody in the world knows. And he's been in power 20 years, and many people assume that he's going to be there forever. That's anti-historical. The American Foreign Policy Council did a study last year of 120 post-World War II dictators of countries of 10 million or more. 60% of those dictators were either assassinated or put out by a coup. And even among those that were very successful, who lasted for 20 years, 40% were either killed or ousted by a coup. Now, Putin understands this very well, and he's been quite crafty to stay in power for 20 years. Most of them did not stay in power for 20 years. How did he do it? He did it through a variety of ways. First, he enriched all those around him that had guns and therefore were able to keep him in power. How did he enrich them? A typical example might be some billions of dollars are allocated to building the infrastructure for the Olympics, and immediately half is taken off the top of that and spread around Putin's cronies. He enriched them by turning his eyes away when they forcibly took with guns the property of other people. He made them rich, and they're loyal to him because he made them rich and continues to let them operate with impunity, no matter if they're killings, if they're thefts, if they're beatings, or all kinds of other unsavory behavior. But that's not the only way that he's kept in power. He's made examples of anybody that stuck their head out. For instance, you have writers like Anna Politkovskaya that was assassinated in the elevator her own home because she wrote things critical of Putin. And the same fate befell many other journalists. Others were simply beaten up and cowered into not opposing Putin. Some have taken exile. But even if you take exile, you're not immune. He's had people killed in England in high profile and very gory killings. So he's instilled fear, and fear helps him stay in power. And then there's also the question of propaganda. He's made great anti-American propaganda telling the Russian people, Putin is the only man that can save you against the West, which seeks to destroy Russia. And I am putting forth a new image of Russian greatness by keeping our friend, the dictator Assad, in power in Syria, by invading Ukraine and annexing Crimea, by involving ourselves in Libya. Russia is again a force to be reckoned with. Now, the average Russian has no idea if that's true or not because it doesn't affect their daily lives too much. But having said that, dissent still builds. And last year, even before the virus, there were hundreds of demonstrations throughout Russia. They were on economic grounds, they were on social grounds, not permitting the minorities to use their first language, the buildup of trash and other ecologically damaging actions by the Russian government and so forth, hundreds of them. With use of repression, he was able to deal with that. But now with the virus, I think the situation for Putin becomes far more dangerous because it amplifies all these other grievances. And some of those grievances, by the way, are longstanding economic. For instance, in the 5 of the last 6 years, the standard of living, the annual income of the average Russian went down. Think of that. Your income going down 5 of the last 6 years. So there's general discontent that way. The virus makes this more dangerous because it gives people an opportunity to see through the propaganda. You may look on TV and see very high-tech and modern Russian hospitals. That's only for the elite. 90% of Russians have to go to hospitals that no American would want to walk into. I've been in some of those hospitals. While Putin is spending money abroad in Syria, in Ukraine, in Libya, no money is going for basic needs of his people, and this is understood. And it's especially understood because of the virus, because people are dying, and there are more stories about loved ones and friends going into hospitals where there's not enough equipment, where there's not sanitary conditions, where the doctors are not even being paid what they've been promised. And this is building up discontent. And this discontent has led to a situation where now half of all Russians under 24 want to leave the country. It's created a situation which has been building some time where anybody with money has a second passport and a foreign bank account. So if things really go bad, they can get out. In short, it's a pre-revolutionary condition. Lenin, the founder of the Soviet Union, had the saying, "From a spark ignites a big flame, a fire." And what he meant was, if there's a pre-revolutionary condition, some event can happen to create an explosion that would result in a change of leadership. We saw this in Tunisia, where there was a pre-revolutionary condition, and a vendor, totally on his own, set himself on fire out of frustration, and that began the Arab Spring. We don't know if such a spark will come to Russia. And if the spark comes, we don't know if Putin will put it out. But I think we do know that the pre-revolutionary condition is building, and it's a time of danger for Putin, and it's a time for the U.S. to watch and consider our options.
All right, thank you, Herman. This is obviously an evolving issue, so I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.
Annie, it's always a pleasure to be with you.